Hey, Natasha here. This video is going to be a bit different as I do want to share my story in a more in-depth way, as I know that it's going to resonate with so many people because this has to do not only with shifting your perspective, which I had to do for myself, but in a way when your life is falling apart. My life has fallen apart more than once. What I want to speak to today are the more recent of them. And interestingly enough, they happened about 2 years apart from one another. And yeah, it's very interesting because when my life was falling apart, it really felt like all the walls around me were crumbling. Life as I knew it wasn't what it was. It was like nothing was going my way and everything was happening to me. Now, the first one was, I would say, about November of 2022. And that was a time where I was in my first business, and I had been doing that for a few years. And that really took a toll on everything, like from finances to my personal relationships to then I had my second child, and then the dynamics had really changed, and it just was like layers upon layers of stressors until it exploded. And it exploded in such a way that I was like, everything that I was doing seemed wrong. And I was just grasping at straws. And I didn't know which way was up because I was working on this business. And I was doing all the things and now taking care of a newborn. And everything cracked wide open and fell apart. So I was working a bunch of on-call jobs. I was not making ends meet with that. It put a really big strain on the relationship I was in at the time. And it just blew up in my face to the point where a relationship disintegrated. I needed to go back to finding consistent work because the business wasn't taking off the way I had hoped. Still was doing it, but I had to kind of shift from being the main point person because I had to go back to work, because then I also had to file for bankruptcy for my business, and that required me to have consistent income. So I've spoke to this to an extent in the previous earlier versions of my podcast, what turned into being my podcast. They were previously Instagram lives. But to go a little more in depth with the fact that at that point in time, not only did my world explode, I felt like everything was happening to me. Everything was falling apart, and I tried everything to just right the wrongs, in my opinion, at the time. And so I did the things. I filed for bankruptcy. I went back to working what I knew because it was quick and easy for me to get another director job. And so I did that, and still was working on the business, but it was in the red. And I, at this point, even with the bankruptcy, I was barely keeping things alive. And I eventually had to close it because a main customer that we had, that was, I would say, like 95% of our business, that customer stopped paying. Didn't pay any of their invoices. I reached out a bunch, and I couldn't foot the bills. All of these bills came up that were thousands of dollars that were all tied up in these invoices that weren't getting paid. And so I couldn't renew insurance contracts. Everything eventually had to lapse because I didn't have it, because everything was tied up also in the bankruptcy. So I reluctantly closed. It basically was the universe saying, girl, why are you still doing the things that you're doing? We told you no. But in the moment, I was like, I came up with a whole nother marketing plan. I was like putting things together. I had this whole plan of where I was going to go places. I was going to drop certain things off. I made new marketing material. I was doing everything until those due dates came up, and I was like, I cannot cover payroll anymore for my contractors. Like, I have to, this isn't going to work anymore. And so then I did. I closed it. And it still was working on getting the funding back, or not the funding, but the recoup for the services provided. Right? I didn't get those funds. I eventually did, but I'm going to fast forward to the second time my whole life fell apart, and some people might call this like a quantum crumble, but it. I got to a point where I thought things were okay. And I invested in some coaching, and because I still, it was okay. But I looked around and was like, is this as good as it gets? Like, this can't be my life, because I always envisioned so much more, and that I was, I was meant for so much more. And I was like, this can't be my life. This can't be what love is. This can't be me living paycheck to paycheck. Like, this can't be it. This has got to get better. And then my life fell apart again, to the point where I became, in my eyes, like a single mother. I was now in charge of all the bills, and even with help with childcare. Like, it was a huge transition, from the life that I thought I was going to live to the life that I'm living now. And it was a lot of time of me feeling victimized by my circumstance. I was like, why is this happening to me? Why is this always like this? Like, why, me, victim, victim, victim. And over time, with the coaching that I invested in, I went through this awakening, let's call it. It was eye-opening, really tapping into kind of the more spiritual aspects that I've kind of just left dormant for a really long time, because I lost myself. I lost myself in motherhood. I lost myself in my business. I lost myself in my relationship. I lost kind of all the pieces of myself. And it really was about rebuilding myself and putting myself back together, Humpty Dumpty kind of. It was really difficult, but it was a journey, and such a lovely journey. It was not lovely in a lot of parts, but it was lovely in the sense that I have now, found myself again, and realizing that I had lost myself and what aspects I'd lost of myself, and really figuring out who I am and my identity, and then creating the new identity, the person that I desired and knew that I wanted to be. And that was not something I could do in these previous situations that I had had before. The first of the two that I'm talking about were crumbles, where my world fell apart. That was not happening to me. That was happening for me, because I, again, was holding and grasping and wanting to keep what was, even if what was there was not working for me, wasn't the best for me. I couldn't grow and expand into this person that I'm becoming in that situation. And then when everything crumbled again 2 years later, I I had to take a step back, zoom out, see the bigger picture. And that again was not happening to me. That was happening for me. I was, again, holding myself back, playing small, not where I thought I could be, would be, should be, and having this space, this time to really hone in on myself, work on myself, create and stack habits, and to find myself again through my new business. That is the secret sauce. It was, everything was happening for me in order to take these steps and to go through this process to make this progress, which is where I am today. And again, it was not pretty in parts, but so beautiful, because I think of it as kind of like the life of a butterfly. I actually have a butterfly tattoo that I forget about sometimes because I can't see it. But it's just this beautiful progression of where I was and the person that I was into who I'm becoming, who I am, who I'm destined to be. And that is so incredibly beautiful that not only do I have to share this, but like I want others to experience this in a similar way. It won't be exactly the same, but the steps that it took to get there. It's so beautiful. And once you find yourself again, it is just, I don't even have words. You don't realize how separated from yourself you are, how much you've lost yourself until you see it from the other side. And you really can only connect the dots going backwards. And now hindsight, being 2020, I can look back and be like, wow, not only was this happening for my greater good, but these were all stepping stones to get me to exactly where I need to be. And that can be anywhere from, I can see it from a career perspective, all the transitions that I made between my businesses and the jobs that I've had to now, to my first business kind of being the catalyst for my new business and the progressions and what my signature program is about, to now, to finding myself personally, and now how I've been able to not only revamp and cultivate and come up and even have additions, and then now new courses and mini courses and like all these things, because all I want to do is share and teach and mentor and do all these things that I've done in different capacities professionally, but really for the simple fact that I want to share. Because I mean, to hold this in and to not share it would be a disservice to everyone. So especially because I look back at myself 2 years ago, 5 years ago, almost 10 years ago, even just before having kids. And it's just, I lost myself well before becoming a mother. I then further lost myself becoming a mother, and then further lost myself trying to salvage my personal relationships. Like I just kept with the patterns that I now see with the people pleasing and the feeling like, nothing's ever good enough. And it just kind of snowballed. And I was just grasping again at anything that I could hold on to that I thought was real. And really, I had to let it all go. And for me to let it all go, because I am very stubborn and very like, I gotta see it to the end. I am not a quitter type of mindset, that it had to be done for me, not to me, but for me to let it go, for me to open my eyes and to see that really a lot of those things weren't serving me anymore and weren't serving a purpose, and that my purpose is so much bigger than what I thought. And I knew that deep down, I knew that, but to actually catapult me to this beautiful version of myself, into the butterfly, was to let it all go and to go through this metamorphosis, this journey to where I am today. So I didn't get into a lot of details because that's really stuff that I am open to sharing, but share with my community. But just to know, really the takeaway is everything is not happening to you. It is happening for you. And you have the ability to change anything that is in your life right now that you may not prefer. You have the ability to do that. And if, things are happening that seem like out of your control, then there's likely a reason behind it. It's either to open up for something better, open up to possibilities, open so you can see something that you didn't see before. And everything's a lesson. And you can create whatever you want in your reality. You are the creator of your life. And if you don't see that, then this is your opportunity to do so. So if you're looking for, a shift in perspective, to be able to gain a better idea of what the other possibilities are, I invite you to check out my Fair Chronicles podcast. That is False Evidence Appearing Real. And in there, I go over so many topics right now. Right now, we're talking about time, but there's mindset. There's all things mindset, because there's so many topics and ideas and things that have happened to me or teachings that I've applied in my life. And I've just, again, want to just share the wealth at this point. And a lot of these are not necessarily new ideas, but they're just my version of a lot of these lessons that have really hit home, that really helped me to open my eyes, zoom out, see the bigger picture, and change my own perspective. And for me to realize that life is not happening to me, it's happening for me. And I can help co-create whatever it is that I want, and you can too.